Hello and welcome to Lotus Light Teachings, your sanctuary for wisdom, self-discovery, and inner peace. Today, we're diving into a profound yet simple truth: healing yourself without medicines. Have you ever wondered why, despite taking medications or seeking external solutions, a sense of true well-being often feels just out of reach? Perhaps the key to lasting health and happiness lies not outside, but within you. In this video, we'll explore the timeless wisdom of Buddhism and how it offers a holistic approach to healing. Point 1, that nurtures not only the body but also the mind and soul. Through mindfulness, compassion, and letting go of emotional burdens, you can embark on a journey toward authentic healing and peace. If you're ready to transform your life from within, stay with us. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss the opportunity to explore the path of self-healing and spiritual growth. Now, let's begin this journey together. Imagine standing in the middle of a vast, serene forest. The air is crisp, and the gentle rustling of leaves soothes your soul. You take a deep breath, but within, there is still a weight and an ache that no amount of fresh air seems to lift. Have you ever felt this way? Searching for relief yet feeling that something deeper remains unhealed? Many of us live in a world filled with quick fixes, medications, distractions, and temporary comforts. And while these remedies offer relief, they often don't address the root cause of our suffering. True healing, as taught in Buddhism, is not about simply treating symptoms but about tending to the very core of our being, our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. Buddhism teaches that suffering, or dukkha, arises from attachment, craving, and ignorance of life's impermanence. We often hold on to pain, stress, and fear, unaware that healing is a process that begins from within. Consider this: when a plant withers, we might water it or place it in the sun, but if the soil itself is toxic, it will never truly thrive. Our minds and bodies are like that plant. External efforts can help, but real healing happens when we nourish our inner world. But how do we cultivate this inner nourishment? The Buddha's teachings offer us profound yet practical tools. 1. Awareness and mindfulness, learning to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. 2. Letting go, releasing attachments that weigh us down and create suffering. 3. Compassion, embracing kindness, both for ourselves and others, as a powerful healing force. Through meditation, self-inquiry, and daily mindfulness, we begin to uncover layers of ourselves that have been buried under stress and fear. Each breath, each moment of awareness, is an opportunity to return to our natural state of balance and well-being. Perhaps you've experienced moments of peace, walking in nature, sitting in stillness, or engaging in heartfelt conversation. These moments reveal that peace is always within us. We simply need to create space for it to arise. So, let me ask you, are you ready to take a step inward? To let go of what no longer serves you and embrace the healing that is already present within? Let's walk this path together. Chapter 1: Understanding the Roots of Suffering. There are moments in life when pain feels overwhelming, when loss, uncertainty, or the fear of change grips our hearts so tightly that we struggle to breathe. In these moments, we often search for solace in the outside world, hoping to escape suffering through distractions, relationships, or material comforts. But what if the key to true healing lies not in avoiding pain, but in understanding it? The Buddha's teachings offer a profound insight into suffering, guiding us to look within and recognize its true nature. In Buddhism, suffering is not an external force imposed upon us. It is a part of existence, woven into the fabric of life itself. Yet, this realization is not meant to bring despair. It is an invitation to awaken, to see suffering as a teacher rather than an enemy. Have you ever wondered why suffering feels so persistent? Why do we hold onto memories that hurt us, or long for things that are no longer within our reach? The answer lies in the Four Noble Truths, the cornerstone of Buddhist philosophy. These timeless teachings offer a clear and compassionate framework for understanding and transcending suffering. Suffering, or dukkha, is the first truth the Buddha taught after his enlightenment. He did not shy away from the reality of life's difficulties. Instead, he faced them with unwavering compassion and wisdom. Suffering comes in many forms. Physical pain, emotional turmoil, the inevitability of aging, loss, and even the fleeting nature of happiness itself. We suffer not only when we experience hardship, but also when we fear losing what we love or when we resist the natural flow of life. I once met a woman who had lost her husband unexpectedly. She found herself trapped in a cycle of grief and longing, unable to move forward. "If only things had been different," she would say over and over again, clinging to the past as if holding on to it could bring him back. In her suffering, she saw only what was taken from her, not the love and memories that remained. Her story is not unique. It reflects a universal truth: our attachment to what was, and our resistance to what is, deepen our pain. The second noble truth reveals the cause of suffering: attachment and craving. We crave comfort, security, and permanence in a world that is constantly changing. We attach ourselves to people, experiences, and even identities, believing they define us. But when they inevitably change or fade, we feel lost, as if a part of us has been torn away. The Buddha taught that this attachment arises from ignorance, our misunderstanding of the impermanent nature of life. Consider the metaphor of a flowing river. If we try to grasp the water, it slips through our fingers. Life, too, is like this river, ever-changing and beyond our control. When we understand this truth, we learn to let go, not in resignation, but in acceptance. Letting go does not mean forgetting or becoming indifferent. It means embracing life as it is, without clinging or resistance. Modern psychology echoes these ancient teachings. Studies have shown that our emotional well-being is deeply connected to our ability to accept change and cultivate resilience. Stress and anxiety often stem from our resistance to uncertainty and our desire to control the uncontrollable. By practicing mindfulness and self-awareness, we can break free from this cycle and approach life with greater ease and clarity. The third noble truth offers hope: suffering can end. This does not mean that challenges will disappear, but that our relationship with them can transform. When we release attachment, we make space for peace. The woman who lost her husband eventually found solace not by erasing her grief, but by honoring it without letting it define her. Through meditation and self-reflection, she learned to cherish the present moment and to find gratitude in the love she had experienced. How can we begin this process of release? The fourth noble truth provides a path, the Eightfold Path, a guide to living with wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. This path is not a rigid set of rules, but a gentle invitation to cultivate mindfulness, right effort, and compassion in our daily lives. When we align our thoughts and actions with these principles, suffering begins to lose its grip on us. Take, for instance, the practice of mindfulness. When we bring our attention fully to the present moment, whether it's enjoying a meal, listening to a loved one, or simply breathing, we break free from the mental patterns that perpetuate suffering. Instead of dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, we cultivate presence, and in that presence, we find peace. Compassion, both for ourselves and others, is another essential key to healing. Often, we are our harshest critics, blaming ourselves for past mistakes or failures. But true healing begins with self-compassion, recognizing our shared humanity and treating ourselves with kindness. The Buddha reminded us, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." When we extend compassion outward, we create connections that foster healing. A simple act of kindness, a listening ear, or a gentle word can transform someone's day and remind them that they are not alone. In this way, healing is not just an individual journey but a shared one. As you reflect on your own experiences, consider this: what attachments are holding you back? What fears prevent you from embracing life fully? The answers may not come easily, but with patience and gentle awareness, you can begin to loosen their grip. Healing is not about erasing pain. It is about learning to hold it with tenderness and wisdom. Like a lotus that blooms in muddy waters, our growth and transformation often arise from the challenges we face. When we cultivate inner peace, we become resilient in the face of life's inevitable changes. In the end, the journey to understanding suffering is a journey to understanding ourselves. Through mindfulness, compassion, and acceptance, we can learn to walk through life with greater ease, embracing both joy and sorrow with an open heart. The Buddha's teachings are not distant philosophies but practical guides for everyday living. They remind us that, even in the midst of suffering, there is always the possibility of awakening and transformation. And so, as we move forward, let us remember, suffering is not a sign of failure, but an opportunity for growth. Each moment of awareness, each act of kindness, and each breath of acceptance brings us closer to the peace we seek. Chapter 2, Mind-Body Connection, a Buddhist View. There are moments in life when our bodies speak louder than our thoughts. A racing heart when we're anxious, a sudden headache when overwhelmed, or a lingering fatigue that no amount of rest seems to cure. We often perceive the body and mind as separate entities, treating physical ailments without considering their deeper, emotional roots. But what if the body and mind are not two but one, interwoven, influencing each other in ways more profound than we might realize? In Buddhism, the connection between the mind and body is not merely a concept. It is a lived experience, a fundamental truth woven into the fabric of our existence. The Buddha taught that our thoughts, emotions, and mental states have a direct impact on our physical well-being. When the mind is at peace, the body naturally follows. But when the mind is restless, burdened by stress, worry, or attachment, the body responds with tension, discomfort, and sometimes even illness. A wise monk once shared a story about a man who came to him seeking help. The man had tried countless remedies for his chronic pain, but nothing seemed to work. He asked, "Why does my suffering persist despite all the treatments?" The monk gently smiled and replied, "Because you are treating only the branches and not the roots." This simple yet profound insight reveals an essential truth: true healing must begin from within. Modern science is now catching up with what Buddhism has taught for centuries. Studies show that stress, anxiety, and negative thinking patterns contribute to a range of physical ailments, from heart disease to digestive disorders and weakened immunity. When we are stressed, the body releases cortisol, a hormone that, in excess, can weaken the immune system and lead to chronic inflammation. On the other hand, when we cultivate a sense of calm and mindfulness, our body responds with balance and healing. Have you ever noticed how your body feels lighter after a good meditation session, or how stress makes your muscles tighten and your breath shallow? This intricate dance between mind and body reminds us that our well-being is not just about what we eat or how we exercise, but also about how we think and feel. In Buddhist teachings, the practice of mindfulness is the key to understanding this connection and using it to foster true healing. Mindfulness, or sati, is the art of being fully present, aware of our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment. When we cultivate mindfulness, we begin to notice the subtle signals our body sends us. A tight jaw may signal unresolved anger. A clenched fist might reflect hidden anxiety. Instead of ignoring these signs or numbing them with distractions, mindfulness teaches us to embrace them with curiosity and compassion. There is a beautiful story from the Buddhist tradition about a man who carried a heavy load on his back. He walked through life struggling, believing the weight was inevitable. One day, he met a teacher who simply asked, "Why don't you put it down?" In that moment, the man realized that the burden he carried was of his own making. His attachments, fears, and unresolved emotions. By letting go, he found not only physical relief but also mental clarity. When we hold on to negative emotions such as anger, guilt, or regret, they manifest in the body as tension and discomfort. The Buddha taught that the root of suffering lies in attachment, our inability to let go of past hurts and fears of the future. Through mindfulness, we learn to release these burdens gently, understanding that clinging to them only prolongs our suffering. Scientific research supports this ancient wisdom. Studies have shown that practicing mindfulness meditation can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and even change the brain's neural pathways to promote emotional resilience. Individuals who regularly engage in mindfulness practices report experiencing greater emotional balance, improved focus, and a deeper sense of connection with their bodies. Consider the case of a woman diagnosed with chronic migraines. She had tried every medication available, but the headaches persisted. Frustrated and exhausted, she turned to mindfulness meditation. Through daily practice, She began to notice patterns. Her headaches often arose during moments of high stress or emotional turmoil. Instead of fighting the pain, she learned to sit with it, breathe through it, and, in doing so, gradually found relief. Her healing didn't come from external treatments, but from an inner shift in awareness. Breathing is one of the most powerful yet overlooked tools we have to bridge the gap between the mind and body. In Buddhism, the breath is seen as the bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind. When we breathe mindfully, we anchor ourselves in the present moment, calming the mind and allowing the body to enter a state of deep relaxation. A simple practice you can try right now is to take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and then exhale slowly, releasing any tension you feel. This act alone can create a sense of peace and grounding. Applying these teachings in daily life doesn't require drastic changes. Small, intentional moments of mindfulness can have a profound impact. Try bringing awareness to your body when you wake up. Feeling your breath, noticing any tension, and setting an intention for the day. When eating, practice mindful eating. Savoring each bite, feeling the texture, and truly being present with your meal. When walking, take slow, deliberate steps, noticing the sensation of your feet touching the ground. One of the most transformative aspects of Buddhist practice is the cultivation of loving kindness, or metta. This practice involves directing kind and compassionate thoughts towards ourselves and others. Many people hold onto self-criticism and judgment, which unknowingly create physical tension and emotional distress. By offering ourselves loving kindness, we create space for healing and self-acceptance. A monk once shared the metaphor of a cup of water with ink dropped into it. If the water represents our mind and the ink our negative thoughts, the only way to clear the water is by continuously adding fresh, clean water. Kindness, compassion, and awareness. Over time, the mind clears, and the body responds with lightness and ease. In moments of challenge, whether facing illness, loss, or uncertainty, remember that healing begins with awareness. Instead of fighting what arises, try to meet it with a gentle curiosity. Ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? And listen without judgment. Healing is not about perfection. It is about connection. Connecting with yourself in a way that honors both your physical and emotional needs. Through the practice of mindfulness, compassion, and letting go, we gradually come to realize that true health is not just the absence of illness but a deep sense of harmony within. The Buddhist teachings remind us that by caring for the mind, we are also caring for the body, and in doing so, we unlock the potential for profound healing and transformation. As you reflect on these ideas, consider this. What small step can you take today to reconnect with your body and mind? Perhaps it's a few moments of deep breathing, a mindful walk, or simply offering yourself a kind word. Whatever it is, know that healing is always within your reach, waiting to be discovered in the stillness of the present moment. Chapter 3: Meditation as a Healing Tool. There are times in life when pain, whether physical or emotional, feels like an uninvited guest that refuses to leave. We try to distract ourselves, to run away from it, or even to fight against it, but often these efforts only make the suffering worse. What if, instead of resisting, we learn to sit with our pain, to observe it with a gentle and compassionate heart? This is where meditation, one of the most profound gifts of Buddhist teachings, offers a path to true healing. Meditation is not just a technique. It is an invitation to come home to ourselves, to find peace within the very chaos we seek to escape. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." These words hold a timeless truth. Our healing does not depend on external circumstances, but rather on our ability to cultivate stillness and awareness in the midst of life's turbulence. Many people believe that meditation is about emptying the mind or achieving some perfect state of calm, but in reality, it is a practice of deep observation, of learning to witness our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. In doing so, we create space for healing to unfold naturally, like a wound that heals when left undisturbed. There is a story of an elderly man who had been suffering from chronic pain for years. No amount of medication or therapy seemed to bring him lasting relief. Frustrated and exhausted, he turned to meditation as a last resort. At first, he struggled. His mind raced, his body ached, and doubt crept in. But with patience and perseverance, he discovered something profound. Instead of resisting the pain, he began to observe it with a sense of curiosity and kindness. Over time, the pain, while still present, no longer controlled him. He found that through meditation, he could create a new relationship with his suffering. Point 1, based on acceptance rather than resistance. In Buddhist teachings, meditation comes in many forms, each offering unique pathways to healing. One of the most well-known and transformative practices is Vipassana, or insight meditation. Rooted in the principles of mindfulness, Vipassana encourages us to observe our thoughts and bodily sensations with an open heart, seeing them as impermanent and ever-changing. Through this practice, we begin to see the transient nature of pain, realizing that it is not fixed but constantly shifting, like clouds passing through the sky. Another powerful form of meditation is metta, or loving-kindness meditation. Unlike Vipassana, which focuses on awareness, metta is about cultivating compassion. First for ourselves, and then for others. It is a practice of softening the heart, of offering phrases such as, "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I live with ease." These simple yet profound words, when repeated with sincerity, have the power to dissolve deep-seated feelings of resentment, anger, and fear, making space for healing and inner peace. Incorporating meditation into our daily lives may seem daunting at first. The mind is naturally restless, constantly jumping from one thought to another, and sitting in stillness can feel uncomfortable. But just as a muscle strengthens with consistent effort, so too does the mind. One does not need hours of meditation to experience its benefits. Even a few minutes of mindful breathing can create a sense of calm and clarity. For those new to meditation, a simple step-by-step approach can help ease into the practice. Find a quiet space, sit comfortably, and bring your attention to the breath. Notice the sensation of air entering and leaving your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest. When thoughts arise, as they inevitably will, gently bring your focus back to the breath without frustration. In this way, meditation becomes an anchor, a refuge amidst the storms of life. Many beginners encounter common challenges: restlessness, impatience, or the feeling that nothing is happening. It is important to remember that meditation is not about achieving a specific state, but about cultivating awareness and acceptance. When impatience arises, observe it. When discomfort appears, sit with it. With time, these experiences lose their power over us, and we begin to experience the true essence of meditation. Freedom from attachment. In modern life, we are often conditioned to seek instant results, but meditation teaches us patience. Healing, whether physical or emotional, takes time. Just as a seed requires nurturing before it blossoms into a flower, our inner transformation unfolds gradually, one mindful breath at a time. The benefits of meditation extend far beyond the individual. As we cultivate inner peace, we naturally bring that peace into our relationships and interactions. A calm mind responds rather than reacts, listens rather than judges, and embraces rather than rejects. In this way, meditation becomes not just a tool for personal healing, but a gift we offer to the world around us. Science has now begun to validate what Buddhist practitioners have known for centuries: the practice of meditation has profound effects on the body and mind. Studies have shown that regular meditation can lower stress levels, reduce inflammation, and even rewire the brain to promote emotional resilience. When we engage in mindfulness practices, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes relaxation and self-healing, counteracting the harmful effects of chronic stress. Beyond the physiological benefits, meditation also fosters a deeper understanding of ourselves. It allows us to confront the fears, anxieties, and doubts that often remain buried beneath the surface of our busy lives. In sitting with ourselves, we learn that we are not our thoughts or emotions. We are the awareness that observes them. This realization is profoundly liberating. It frees us from the endless cycle of reacting to every thought or feeling that arises. Meditation is not a cure-all, but it is a powerful complement to any healing journey. Whether dealing with physical pain, emotional wounds, or the everyday stress of modern life, meditation provides a sanctuary, a space where we can meet ourselves with honesty, compassion, and patience. As you embark on your meditation journey, consider this: what if healing is not about fixing what is broken, but about discovering the wholeness that has always been within you? What if true peace is not something to be found outside, but something that arises naturally when we stop searching and simply allow ourselves to be? In the stillness of meditation, we come to realize that healing is not a destination, but a process of coming home to ourselves. With each breath, each moment of awareness, we take a step closer to the peace and freedom that have been within us all along. Perhaps the greatest lesson meditation offers is this: no matter how far we have wandered, no matter how lost we feel, we can always return to the present moment. And in that moment, we find everything we need to heal. Chapter 4: Mindfulness in Daily Life. There is a quiet power in the present moment, an invitation that so often goes unnoticed in the rush of daily life. We move from one task to another, our minds filled with thoughts of the past and worries about the future, rarely pausing to truly be where we are. Yet, in the stillness of now, there lies a profound opportunity for healing, clarity, and peace. Mindfulness, the practice of being fully present with awareness and without judgment, is a gentle but powerful tool that allows us to reconnect with ourselves and the world around us. It's easy to think of mindfulness as something reserved for meditation cushions or quiet retreats, but its true essence is found in the small, everyday moments, the way we sip our morning tea, the feeling of our feet touching the ground as we walk, or the attention we give to a conversation with a loved one. These moments, when approached with full awareness, become doorways to deeper understanding and contentment. I once met a man who had spent years searching for peace through external means, changing jobs, moving cities, even traveling the world. He still felt an emptiness inside. It wasn't until he discovered mindfulness that he realized peace had never been something to find. It was something to experience, right where he was. He began with small steps, focusing on his breath during daily walks, eating his meals without distractions, and gradually, his sense of inner calm grew. Mindful eating is one such practice that can transform an ordinary act into a deeply nourishing experience. In our fast-paced world, meals are often consumed in haste, with our minds elsewhere. But when we slow down and truly taste each bite, feeling the texture, savoring the flavors, and appreciating the effort that went into preparing the food, eating becomes more than just sustenance. It becomes an act of gratitude. This simple shift can have profound effects on digestion, emotional well-being, and our relationship with food. Similarly, walking mindfully can ground us in the present and provide a sense of connection with the world. Instead of rushing from one place to another, imagine walking with awareness, feeling the sensation of your feet pressing against the earth, noticing the rhythm of your breath, and observing the sights and sounds around you without judgment. Each step becomes an opportunity to reconnect with yourself and the present moment. In our relationships, mindfulness helps us break the cycle of reactive communication. So often, we listen not to understand but to respond, caught up in our own assumptions and judgments. But when we approach conversations with full presence, truly listening to the other person with openness and curiosity, we create space for deeper connection and understanding. A kind word, a thoughtful pause, or simply being present without distraction can profoundly transform the way we relate to others. The modern world is filled with stressors that pull us in multiple directions, leaving us feeling fragmented and overwhelmed. Mindfulness offers an antidote to this by teaching us to return to the present moment again and again. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment to our thoughts, our worries, our need for control. Mindfulness helps us gently observe these tendencies without getting caught in them, creating space for inner peace. There are many ways to incorporate mindfulness into daily life. A simple yet powerful practice is mindful breathing. Taking a few moments throughout the day to focus on your breath, the sensation of air entering and leaving your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest, can help anchor you in the present. Another effective practice is body scanning, where you bring attention to different parts of your body, noticing any tension or discomfort with gentle awareness. Mindfulness is not about achieving a perfect state of calm, but about being present with whatever arises. Whether it's joy, sadness, frustration, or contentment. It teaches us to accept life as it is, rather than constantly striving for something different. In doing so, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of stress and anxiety, finding peace in the simple act of being. Bringing mindfulness into work life can be particularly transformative. Instead of multitasking and feeling overwhelmed, practicing mindful focus, giving full attention to one task at a time, can increase productivity and reduce burnout. Taking mindful breaks, stepping away from screens to breathe deeply and refocus, can create a sense of balance and clarity even in the busiest of days. As you reflect on how mindfulness can be woven into your own daily life, consider this: what would it feel like to truly be present in this moment? To let go of the rush, the expectations, and simply experience what is here, right now? The beauty of mindfulness is that it requires nothing more than your awareness, and the benefits it offers, greater peace, resilience, and connection, are available to anyone who chooses to embrace it. Chapter 5: Compassion and Self-Love, the Healing Forces. There is a softness within each of us, a deep well of kindness that we so often extend to others but forget to offer ourselves. In the face of life's challenges, we are quick to judge ourselves harshly, to dwell on mistakes, and to carry burdens far heavier than necessary. Yet, true healing begins with self-compassion, the gentle art of meeting ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer to a dear friend. In Buddhist teachings, compassion, or karuna, is considered one of the highest virtues. It is not merely a feeling but an intention, an active commitment to alleviate suffering, both our own and that of others. But to truly extend compassion outward, we must first learn to cultivate it within. I once knew a caregiver, a woman who spent years tending to her ailing mother with unwavering dedication. She poured all her energy into caring for others, yet she neglected her own needs, feeling guilty at the mere thought of resting. Over time, exhaustion took its toll, and she found herself overwhelmed and lost. It wasn't until she embraced the practice of self-compassion, learning to forgive herself for moments of frustration, to acknowledge her own limitations, and to allow herself rest, that she found renewed strength and inner peace. Self-compassion is often misunderstood as self-indulgence or weakness, but it is neither. It is an act of courage, a recognition that we, too, are deserving of love and kindness. When we hold ourselves with compassion, we create space for healing to unfold naturally, without the added burden of self-criticism. A powerful way to cultivate self-compassion is through metta-meditation, also known as loving-kindness meditation. In this practice, we silently repeat phrases of goodwill, first towards ourselves, then gradually extending them to others. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be free from suffering. This practice not only nurtures self-love, but also fosters a sense of interconnectedness with the world. Forgiveness is another essential aspect of self-compassion. So often, we carry wounds from the past, resentments, regrets, and guilt that weigh heavily on our hearts. The Buddha taught that clinging to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. It only burns us. True healing begins when we learn to let go, to release ourselves from the grip of the past and step into the freedom of the present. In practical terms, self-love can be as simple as setting healthy boundaries, speaking kindly to ourselves, or prioritizing our well-being without guilt. It is the small, everyday choices that add up to a life rooted in kindness and care. When we practice self-compassion, we become more resilient in the face of life's difficulties. Instead of being overwhelmed by setbacks, we learn to meet them with patience and understanding. We realize that mistakes are not failures but opportunities to grow, and that healing is not a linear path but a journey of self-discovery. As you reflect on your own journey, consider this: what would it feel like to treat yourself with the same kindness you offer to others? To release the burden of self-judgment and embrace the imperfect, beautiful person that you are? The journey to healing begins with a single step: point one of self-love, compassion, and acceptance. In the end, the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the permission to be human. To love ourselves not despite our flaws, but because of them. And as we nurture this love within, we naturally extend it to the world, becoming beacons of compassion and healing wherever we go. Chapter 6: Letting Go, Releasing Emotional Baggage. there is a weight that many of us carry without even realizing it. It's not the kind of weight that can be seen, but one that is felt deeply, an invisible burden of past regrets, unresolved emotions, and fears that quietly shape our daily lives. This weight can manifest in our thoughts, our interactions, and even our physical well-being. Have you ever noticed how a lingering resentment or a painful memory can tighten your chest, make your breath shallow, or drain your energy? The body holds onto emotions in ways we might not expect, and until we learn to release them, they continue to affect us. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering stems from attachment, the clinging to ideas, people, and experiences that we wish could have been different. We hold on to the past, replaying moments over and over again in our minds, wondering what if or if only. But the truth is, no matter how much we wish it otherwise, the past is unchangeable. The Buddha taught that clinging to what no longer exists only deepens our suffering, like holding onto a rope that's burning our hands. Consider the concept of anicca or impermanence, one of the core teachings of Buddhism. Everything in life, our relationships, our achievements, our failures, arises and passes away. Nothing stays the same, and when we resist this truth, we create suffering. When we embrace impermanence, however, we allow ourselves to flow with life, rather than against it. It's a lesson that isn't easy to accept, but it holds the key to deep inner peace. I once knew a man who had been carrying regret for years. He had made decisions in his youth that he felt had cost him opportunities and happiness. Whenever he thought about them, a wave of guilt would wash over him, and he would dwell in sadness and self-blame. But through Buddhist teachings, he began to see his past choices not as mistakes, but as lessons. He practiced mindfulness and self-compassion, reminding himself that he had done the best he could with the understanding he had at the time. Slowly, he learned to let go, not by forgetting, but by accepting. The more he embraced the present, the lighter he felt. Letting go does not mean pushing our emotions away or suppressing them. It means acknowledging them fully, understanding their impermanent nature, and gently releasing their hold on us. One powerful tool for this is meditation. In mindfulness meditation, we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. When a painful memory arises, instead of reacting to it with guilt or sadness, we simply notice it, allow it to be, and watch it pass like clouds in the sky. Over time, this practice helps us create space between our thoughts and our sense of self, allowing us to respond to life with greater ease and clarity. A helpful exercise for releasing emotional baggage is journaling. Taking time each day to write down thoughts, feelings, and recurring patterns can offer a clearer perspective. Questions such as, what am I holding on to? Or, how is this attachment affecting my present life? Can provide insight and lead to a deeper understanding of what needs to be released. Writing down these reflections is like emptying a heavy bag, one thought at a time. Sometimes, letting go requires forgiveness, not just for others, but for ourselves. The Buddha taught that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. When we choose to forgive, we free ourselves from the chains of resentment and create room for peace to take root. This doesn't mean condoning what has happened, but rather choosing to no longer carry the weight of it in our hearts. In daily life, letting go can also be practiced in small, meaningful ways. Whether it's clearing out old possessions that no longer serve us, simplifying our schedules, or choosing to respond rather than react to stressful situations. Each act of release is a step toward freedom. When we let go, we make space for new experiences, relationships, and opportunities to enter our lives. The process of releasing emotional baggage is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing journey. There will be days when old feelings resurface, when doubt and fear creep in. But with mindfulness, patience, and self-kindness, we learn to face these emotions with greater ease, knowing that they, too, will pass. And in that realization, we find true liberation. Chapter 7. Simplifying life for better health. In a world that constantly urges us to do more, achieve more, and own more, it's easy to become overwhelmed. Our homes fill up with possessions, our schedules with commitments, and our minds with endless thoughts. The more we accumulate, the heavier life feels. But what if the path to well-being lies not in adding more, but in letting go. Simplifying life, in both its physical and mental aspects, can create space for greater clarity, peace, and health. Buddhist teachings emphasize the beauty of simplicity not as deprivation, but as a way of aligning with what truly matters. The concept of santuthi, or contentment, teaches us that happiness does not come from having more, but from appreciating what we have. When we learn to be content with simplicity, we free ourselves from the constant craving that leads to suffering. There was once a corporate professional who spent years chasing success. He had a prestigious job, a luxurious home, and all the external markers of success, yet he felt deeply dissatisfied. His life was filled with stress, and no amount of material wealth seemed to ease the emptiness he felt inside. Inspired by Buddhist teachings, he decided to embrace simplicity. He decluttered his home, reduced unnecessary commitments, and focused on what brought him true joy, spending time with his family, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in meaningful work. Over time, he found that a simpler life brought him the peace that he had been searching for all along. Minimalism, as it aligns with Buddhist principles, is not just about owning fewer things. It's about removing what distracts us from living with intention. When our physical space is cluttered, our minds often feel cluttered as well. Simplifying our environment, keeping only what we need and cherish, can create a sense of ease and freedom. A clean, organized space reflects a calm and focused mind. In relationships, simplicity means letting go of unnecessary drama and embracing authenticity. When we simplify our interactions by speaking with honesty, listening deeply, and setting healthy boundaries, our connections become more meaningful and fulfilling. The Buddha's teaching on right speech reminds us to communicate with kindness and intention, rather than engaging in gossip or unnecessary conflict. Work-life balance is another area where simplicity can bring profound benefits. The modern world glorifies busyness, yet true productivity comes from focused effort and a clear mind. By simplifying our schedules, prioritizing what truly matters, and saying no to what drains us, we create room for creativity, rest, and deeper fulfillment. There are practical steps we can take to simplify our lives and cultivate better health. One effective practice is mindful decluttering, going through our belongings with awareness and asking, does this item add value to my life? Another approach is time management, setting aside dedicated time for rest, reflection, and mindful activities, rather than being constantly caught up in the rush of daily tasks. Technology, while a useful tool, can also contribute to mental clutter. Taking mindful breaks from screens, engaging in tech-free moments, and being present in the physical world can restore a sense of balance and connection. In Buddhist practice, the emphasis on mindful presence reminds us that the richest experiences of life happen when we are fully engaged in the here and now. As we simplify our lives, we begin to notice a shift, not just in our surroundings, but in our inner world. Stress decreases, clarity increases, and we feel more aligned with our values. We realize that true well-being is not about acquiring more, but about appreciating the simple, beautiful moments that life offers us every day. Embracing simplicity is an act of courage in a world that constantly demands more. It is a choice to prioritize well-being over materialism, presence over distraction, and meaning over excess. And in making that choice, we create a life that is lighter, freer, and filled with the things that truly matter. Chapter 8. Building Resilience Through Buddhist Wisdom. Life often presents us with challenges that seem insurmountable. Moments when everything we once believed to be stable begins to shift, leaving us uncertain and vulnerable. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, financial difficulties, or personal failures, adversity is an inevitable part of the human experience. Yet, amid the suffering, there lies an opportunity for growth, transformation, and the cultivation of resilience. In Buddhism, resilience is not simply about enduring hardships. It is about learning to flow with life's uncertainties, adapting with wisdom and compassion. The Buddha's teachings offer a profound and practical guide to building inner strength, helping us navigate life's challenges with greater ease and understanding. At the heart of this wisdom lies the recognition of impermanence. Anicca. Everything in life, no matter how solid or certain it appears, is subject to change. When we resist this truth, suffering arises. But when we embrace it, we begin to develop the flexibility and strength needed to face adversity with an open heart. There was once a woman who faced severe financial hardship after losing her job unexpectedly. She was filled with anxiety, unsure of how she would support herself and her family. In her desperation, she turned to Buddhist teachings, seeking solace in the words of the Buddha. Through mindfulness and reflection, she began to see her situation not as a catastrophe, but as an opportunity to grow, to simplify her life, and to align her actions with deeper values. She practiced patience, embraced gratitude for what she still had, and gradually found new ways to sustain herself. Her journey was not easy, but through resilience grounded in wisdom, she discovered a newfound sense of peace even amidst uncertainty. Resilience, from a Buddhist perspective, is deeply intertwined with the teachings of the Four Noble Truths. The first truth acknowledges that suffering is an inevitable part of life, whether through loss, disappointment, or change. The second truth teaches that suffering arises from attachment, our tendency to cling to what we want and resist what we fear. But the third truth offers hope. Suffering can end, not by changing external circumstances, but by transforming our inner perspective. And the fourth truth presents the Eightfold Path, a practical framework for cultivating resilience through ethical living, mindfulness, and wisdom. The Eightfold Path provides a roadmap for resilience, offering practical steps to develop inner strength. It begins with right view, understanding the true nature of life and accepting that challenges are part of our journey. When we see life with clarity, we stop fighting against reality and begin to respond with wisdom rather than resistance. Right intention follows, guiding us to cultivate thoughts of compassion and non-attachment. Instead of dwelling on the unfairness of our struggles, we learn to approach them with a sense of purpose and equanimity. This shift in mindset can be incredibly powerful, turning obstacles into opportunities for growth. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood emphasize ethical living, treating others with kindness, acting with integrity, and choosing work that aligns with our values. When we cultivate ethical conduct, we build a foundation of trust and stability, making it easier to navigate difficulties without being consumed by guilt or regret. The practice of right effort teaches us perseverance, the steady and gentle effort to maintain positive mental states and abandon harmful ones. In times of hardship, it's easy to fall into despair or self-doubt. But with mindful effort, we can choose to nurture hope, patience, and understanding. Mindfulness, or right mindfulness, plays a crucial role in resilience. By cultivating present moment awareness, we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. In moments of stress, taking a few deep breaths and simply being present with our feelings allows us to respond with clarity rather than reaction. Finally, right concentration encourages us to develop focus and inner stability through meditation. In the stillness of meditation, we cultivate the strength to remain calm amidst the storms of life. When challenges arise, we can return to our breath, grounding ourselves in the present moment and drawing upon an inner reservoir of peace. Incorporating these principles into daily life requires practice and patience. Small, mindful actions such as starting the day with gratitude, responding to stress with conscious breathing, or reflecting on impermanence can gradually build resilience over time. It's in these simple moments that true strength is cultivated. One of the most powerful lessons in Buddhist resilience is the practice of letting go. When faced with adversity, we often hold on to our fears, our desires for control, or our expectations of how life should be. But letting go does not mean giving up. It means surrendering to the flow of life with trust and acceptance. When we release our grip, we create space for new possibilities to emerge. Equally important is the practice of self-compassion. Too often, we criticize ourselves when we struggle, believing that we should be stronger or more capable. Yet, true resilience comes from meeting ourselves with kindness, acknowledging our limitations, and offering ourselves the same care we would extend to a loved one in need. In challenging times, it is also helpful to turn to the support of a community. In Buddhism, the Sangha, a community of like-minded individuals, provides strength and encouragement. Whether through spiritual groups, friends, or family, seeking support reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. As you reflect on your own life, consider this. How do you respond to challenges? Do you resist them, or do you embrace them as opportunities for growth? What small steps can you take to cultivate resilience in your daily life? Perhaps it's as simple as practicing mindfulness in difficult moments, expressing gratitude for what remains, or reminding yourself of the impermanent nature of all things. Resilience is not about being unshaken by life's challenges. It is about learning to bend without breaking, to move with the tides of change rather than against them. Through the wisdom of the Buddha's teachings, we can find the strength to face any challenge with grace and wisdom, knowing that within us lies an unbreakable core of peace. No matter what life brings, remember that resilience is not found in escaping difficulties, but in meeting them with an open heart and a steady mind. Each challenge is an opportunity to deepen our practice, to cultivate inner strength, and to discover the boundless potential for growth and transformation within us. Chapter 9. Healing through connection and community. There are times in life when suffering feels insurmountable, when the weight of loss, uncertainty, or loneliness becomes too much to bear alone. In these moments, it is easy to retreat inward, to believe that our struggles are ours alone to carry. But the truth, as taught by the Buddha, is that healing does not happen in isolation. Just as a single flame cannot illuminate an entire room, we need the warmth and support of others to navigate the path toward healing and inner peace. The concept of Sangha. The spiritual community is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice. In its simplest form, a Sangha is a gathering of like-minded individuals walking the same path, offering support, guidance, and encouragement to one another. It is a refuge, a reminder that no one walks this journey alone. The Buddha himself emphasized the importance of community, declaring, "Spiritual friendship is not half of the holy life. It is the whole of the holy life." This profound statement reminds us that healing, growth, and awakening are not solitary pursuits, but deeply interconnected with our relationships and interactions with others. Imagine a forest filled with towering trees. Each tree stands tall and strong, but beneath the surface, their roots are intertwined, sharing nutrients and support. When one tree is weakened by storms or drought, the others silently nourish it through their connected roots. Our relationships, too, function in much the same way, offering strength in times of weakness and comfort in times of despair. I once met a retired teacher who had spent much of her life in service to others. After decades of dedication to her students, she found herself in a new phase of life, one marked by solitude and uncertainty. The absence of the daily structure she once relied upon left her feeling adrift, longing for a sense of belonging. It was in a small Buddhist meditation group that she rediscovered connection, not just with others, but with herself. Surrounded by kindred spirits, she learned that healing could be found in shared silence, in gentle conversations over tea, and in the simple act of sitting together in stillness. Over time, she realized that she was never truly alone. She was part of a greater whole. The support of a community has a profound impact on our mental and physical well-being. Science affirms what Buddhism has long taught. Social connection reduces stress, enhances resilience, and even improves physical health. When we feel supported and understood, our nervous system calms, our heart feels lighter, and our capacity to cope with life's challenges expands. In contrast, isolation can deepen feelings of sadness and anxiety, creating a cycle of suffering that feels difficult to escape. One of the most beautiful aspects of a community is the opportunity it provides to practice compassion, both in giving and receiving. When we open our hearts to others, offering our presence, our kindness, and our understanding, we create space for healing to unfold. And in turn, when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to accept the support of others without shame or guilt, we learn that true strength lies in our interconnectedness. In Buddhist practice, the principle of dana, or generosity, plays a vital role in fostering connection. This generosity is not solely about material giving. It is about offering our time, our attention, and our genuine care. A kind word, a listening ear, or a shared moment of silence can be as nourishing as any material gift. And through this mutual exchange, both giver and receiver are enriched, creating an environment where healing can flourish. Creating a supportive environment for healing does not require grand gestures or formal gatherings. It can begin with small, intentional acts. Reaching out to a friend, attending a meditation class, or simply being present for those in need. Even in our everyday interactions, we have the power to cultivate a sense of belonging and connection. One practical way to foster connection is through mindful communication. In a world that often values speed over depth, taking the time to truly listen to be fully present without judgment can create profound shifts in our relationships. When we listen with an open heart, we not only understand others more deeply, but we also offer them a space where they feel seen and valued. Another way to build a healing community is through shared practices. Whether it is meditating together, engaging in acts of service, or simply sharing meals mindfully, these collective experiences reinforce a sense of unity and purpose. They remind us that healing is not a solitary endeavor but a shared journey. For those who struggle to find community, it may help to begin by nurturing a sense of connection within. Often, our external relationships mirror our inner state. When we cultivate self-compassion, kindness, and patience with ourselves, we naturally attract relationships that reflect these qualities. Finding a community that aligns with our values and aspirations may take time, but with an open heart and a willingness to seek connection, it will come. The challenges of modern life, busyness, technology, and social expectations often create barriers to deep connection. We may have hundreds of online friends, yet still feel isolated. True connection, however, goes beyond mere social interactions. It requires authenticity, vulnerability, and a shared commitment to growth and healing. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that suffering is universal. When we understand that everyone we meet is carrying their own burdens, we begin to approach others with greater compassion and empathy. In doing so, we create an environment where healing is possible, not just for ourselves, but for all beings. As you reflect on your own journey, consider this: where do you find your sense of connection? Who in your life offers you support and understanding? And how can you deepen those relationships? What small acts can you take today to create a more compassionate and supportive environment for yourself and others? Healing through connection is not about finding the perfect community. It is about recognizing the shared humanity in everyone we meet. It is about offering our presence, our kindness, and our willingness to walk this path together. And in doing so, we discover that healing is not just about mending what is broken, but about realizing that we were never truly alone to begin with. Chapter 10: Gratitude and Acceptance, the final steps in healing. There are moments in life when the weight of loss feels too heavy to bear, when the past clings to us like shadows, and the uncertainty of the future fills our hearts with fear. In such times, we often find ourselves resisting reality, wishing things could be different, longing for what once was. But the path to healing does not lie in resistance. It lies in acceptance and gratitude. Two profound and transformative forces that Buddhism teaches us to cultivate with patience and understanding. Gratitude, in its truest form, is not merely an act of saying thank you for the things we perceive as good. It is a deep recognition that every moment, whether filled with joy or sorrow, offers us an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to awaken to life's impermanent nature. When we begin to see life through the lens of gratitude, even pain takes on a different shape. It becomes a teacher rather than an enemy, guiding us toward deeper self-awareness and resilience. A woman who had lost her only child once shared her story with me. For years, she lived in the darkness of grief, unable to see beyond the pain that consumed her. She would often ask herself, "Why did this happen to me?" This question only deepened her suffering, keeping her trapped in a cycle of anger and sorrow. It wasn't until she encountered Buddhist teachings that she found a new way to approach her loss. Instead of asking why, she began to ask, "What can I learn from this experience?" Slowly, through daily mindfulness and small acts of gratitude, she discovered that even in her sorrow, there were moments of beauty, kindness from a stranger, the warmth of the sun, the memory of her child's laughter. Gratitude didn't erase her pain, but it softened it, allowing her to embrace life once more. Acceptance, closely intertwined with gratitude, is the ability to meet life as it is, without resistance or denial. The Buddha's teachings on impermanence, anicca, remind us that all things, both joyful and painful, are subject to change. Clinging to what is no longer present, or fearing what may come, only distances us from the present moment. True acceptance is not passive resignation. It is an active embrace of life's unfolding, trusting that even amidst difficulty, there is a deeper wisdom at play. Consider the parable of the mustard seed. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a story of a grieving mother, Kisagadami, who lost her only child. Desperate to bring him back to life, she went to the Buddha seeking a miracle. The Buddha told her that he could help if she brought him a mustard seed from a house where no one had experienced loss. Eagerly, she went from house to house, only to realize that every home had known suffering. Every person had faced loss in some form. This realization opened her heart to acceptance. She was not alone in her grief, and suffering was a shared experience of all beings. With this understanding, she found the strength to move forward with grace. In today's fast-paced world, where loss and disappointment are inevitable, cultivating acceptance helps us respond to challenges with equanimity. Instead of fighting against the tides of life, we learn to flow with them. When we accept our limitations, our failures, and the uncertainty of life, we free ourselves from the mental struggle that often exacerbates suffering. But how can one truly cultivate gratitude and acceptance in daily life? Buddhism offers several practical practices that guide us toward these states of mind. One such practice is mindful reflection, taking a few moments each day to acknowledge what is present. Whether it be the gift of health, the support of loved ones, or simply the breath that sustains us. Even in difficult times, there are aspects of life worthy of appreciation. Journaling can also be a powerful tool in this process. Writing down 3 things to be grateful for each day encourages us to shift our focus from what is lacking to what is abundant. Whether it's a small act of kindness, a moment of peace, or a personal strength we've discovered in ourselves, gratitude journaling rewires the mind to seek the positive, even in the face of adversity. Another profound practice is metta, or loving-kindness meditation. By extending wishes of well-being to ourselves and others, we cultivate an open heart, dissolving resentment and embracing acceptance. Repeating phrases such as, "May I be happy," "May I be at peace," "May I accept life as it is," helps us develop a compassionate attitude toward ourselves and our experiences. Affirmations are another gentle yet effective way to reinforce gratitude and acceptance. Simple phrases like, "I trust the process of life," or "I am grateful for the lessons hidden within my challenges," can serve as gentle reminders to embrace the present with an open heart. These affirmations, when repeated regularly, gradually reshape our perspective, allowing us to find peace in the here and now. One of the most beautiful aspects of gratitude is its ripple effect. When we cultivate a grateful heart, it extends outward, influencing those around us. A grateful person radiates positivity and resilience, inspiring others to see the beauty in their own lives. In this way, gratitude becomes not only a personal practice but a way of being that contributes to the collective well-being of the world. There is a story of a monk who lived in the mountains, known for his unwavering sense of peace and contentment. When asked how he maintained such serenity, despite the hardships of life, he simply replied, "Every morning, I thank the sun for rising, the earth for supporting me, and the people around me for being part of my journey." His gratitude was not dependent on circumstances. It was a conscious choice to embrace life with an open heart. As you reflect on your own life, ask yourself, what can I be grateful for at this moment? It may be something as simple as the sound of birds outside your window or the presence of a loved one. Gratitude does not require grand gestures. It is found in the smallest details of everyday life. Acceptance and gratitude are not destinations to be reached, but practices to be cultivated over time. There will be days when they come effortlessly, and others when they feel distant. But each moment of awareness, each act of appreciation, brings us closer to inner peace. Healing, in its deepest sense, is not about erasing pain but about transforming our relationship with it. When we embrace life with gratitude and acceptance, we discover that even in our struggles, there is room for joy, for growth, and for profound inner peace. The path of healing is not linear, nor is it easy, but with each step rooted in gratitude, we move closer to the wholeness that has always been within us. So as you move forward, consider this: what would it look like to fully embrace your life, just as it is, with gratitude and acceptance? Perhaps the journey to healing begins not with fixing, but with recognizing that, in this moment, you have enough, you are enough, and all that you seek is already within you. As we come to the end of our journey together today, take a moment to pause and reflect. What resonated with you the most? What thoughts or emotions surfaced as you explored the possibility of healing from within? Healing, as we've discovered, is not a destination but a continuous journey. It requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to look within. The Buddhist teachings remind us that suffering is a part of life, but it doesn't have to define us. Every step you take, whether it's practicing mindfulness, letting go of past burdens, or simply breathing with awareness, brings you closer to inner peace. And remember, you don't have to embark on this journey alone. Surround yourself with a supportive community, whether it's through friends, meditation groups, or by engaging with platforms like Lotus Light Teachings, where we walk this path together. One of the most beautiful lessons Buddhism offers is that healing is always available to us in the present moment. We don't need to wait for the perfect conditions or external solutions. The power to heal is already within you, waiting to be awakened. So, as you step away from this video and return to your daily life, I invite you to carry these reflections with you. What can you let go of today that no longer serves you? How can you practice self-compassion in moments of difficulty? What simple act of mindfulness can you bring into your routine to reconnect with yourself? If you found this video helpful, we encourage you to like, comment, and share it with someone who might benefit from these teachings. Your engagement helps us reach more people and spread the message of healing and peace. Let's continue this journey together, one mindful breath at a time. Thank you for being here, and remember, true healing starts from within. Until next time, take care and be well.